morning, everybody. This is David Mesonero, the CFO of PRISA Group since around 9 months ago. And let me start just trying to rephrase what Joseph has already explained in a very just couple of basic points. The first is that we have a renewed pool of lenders. I think that the historical position of PRISA and their lenders has been, passing through different waves, and I think that right now we have found the appropriate pool of lenders that are supporting not only the business plan, but also all the opportunities that could appear in the future for PRISA. So thank you very much, as CFO, for all the lenders that have supported our new refinancing in the company. And second, we were focusing on, and when I was discussing with Joseph, I think that we agreed on 5 main elements. The first is, of course, to assure liquidity. The liquidity is totally important for a company like this. The second is the cost. I think that we have been suffering in the past a very, very high cost in this financial framework. The third is time. I think that we need to gain time to develop the organic plan, but also to start to impose a new culture associated to the cash that is important in this company. The fourth is flexibility or ability to grow. I think that is super important for us. Stop thinking about what asset we are going to sell or what we need to do to avoid a covenant breach. And I think that now we have the time, the cost, everything. And what is most important is that it's a sustainable financing. So let me try to summarize in just one slide what is this about. The first is we have 3 lines, one a super senior, the second is a senior, and the last one is a junior financing. As you can see, we have more than 920 million euros of different lines, and it gives us more than 200 million euros of liquidity as of today. So we have enough cash for financing all the growth plan that Paco and Carlos will explain later. So we don't need to worry about how we are going to finance these plans that later my colleagues will explain. The second is the cost. Let me start explaining that we have passed from 7.20%, more or less, 7.2% to below 6%. It means that we are going to save more than 50 million euros in the period if we compare the former financing versus the new one. As I told you, we need a much more competitive financing, but also we needed to not to worry about how we were going to finance this during the plan. As you can see, there is no any maturity during the business plan that we are presenting today. So we are passing everything around 2 years, which again will give you the opportunity to focus on the important things that is the business. The third, as Joseph was explaining, we don't need to worry about covenant breach. I think that, again, thanks to the new lenders, we have been renegotiating all the covenants that this company will need to fit within it. And in that regard, I think it's important to rephrase that next year, in September 23, we had a former covenant breach of 4.25 times net debt EBITDA. Now, as you can see, we have increased dramatically the headroom, and this will, give us the opportunity, again, not to be worried about any potential covenant breach. And flexibility. I think this is, for me as CFO, the most important part of the financing. Of course, cost, maturity is usually quite normal in this kind of refinancing, but this is a quite unique refinancing for a company like PRISA. The first is that we preserve the corporate perimeter. As Joseph was explaining, the assets we have are the assets that we are going to have. Second is the ability to prepay both senior and junior ahead of the super senior, which is quite unique in this kind of financing. And most important, without penalties. We can pay in advance without any kind of penalty or any kind of make-whole. And also, it's not only flexibility in that way of talking, it's also about what we are going to do. It gives us the possibility to discuss directly with the rest of the management what kind of additional perimeter we want to have and how we are going to finance, if needed, that new perimeter. So we can make disposals in a much more flexible way. Second, if we make any disposal, we can reinvest up to 75 million euros in new capex. So imagine that we sell small asset, non-core, whatever. Instead of using all the cash just to repay debt, we can use that cash for financing additional growth. And finally, we are talking not only about what assets we could sell, but also what assets we could buy. It's the first time that we do a financing in which we have the possibility to acquire different assets, of course maintaining a very strict pro forma leverage ratio. And let me finish with explaining you what is the pro forma balance sheet that should be after this new refinancing once it's implemented, that we expect that it will happen within the next few days or weeks, the latest. So again, 920 million euros of different lines. We have also some small financial debt in different opcos and different subsidiaries. And as I was saying, we have close to 200 million euros of cash. And on top of that, remember that we have the super senior line that is, the RCF. We have an RCF that is giving us around 80 million euros of additional cash. Then we have the IFRS 16 liabilities that I will explain later, and I think that Carlos will also explain in his part. We have renegotiated all the lease agreements that we had in the company, and it has allowed us to reduce the debt associated to these leases. So finally, we have a pro forma net debt of, at the end of 25, with this new refinancing, of around 841 million euros, or what is the same, is around 8 times. 8 times sounds pretty high, but let me remark you that when I joined as CFO in July, the first numbers I saw were at the level of 16. So we have been able to, this new culture, these new fantastic CEOs that we have in the business, to reduce dramatically the leverage of the company, and we will continue focusing on cash flow generation and debt reduction.